Hey, how you all doing today? Great, wonderful to hear. Welcome back to another episode of Tune Talk. Today I'm going to be going over my 10 out of 10 albums from the 1980s. Just like with the previous ones, this is of course just my personal opinion. These are just some albums that either mean a lot to me or I think are just so high quality that they are 10 out of 10, which for a lot of people I know it's probably like a lot. They don't give as tens as much maybe as I do, but my 10 out of 10 list is I think like 30 albums, something like that. So it's a pretty. I mean, it's not for how many. There's hundreds of thousands of albums out there. For there to only be 30 tens, in my opinion, I mean that's saying a lot. So. We're going to be going over all the ones from the 80s. I will say this is probably going to be one of the shortest installments in this series because as much amazing music came out in the 80s, there's only a few that I would consider a perfect 10 out of 10. But we're going to go over them today. Some are going to be a little brief, some I'll go more in depth on, but let's go ahead and get into it. Starting with Talking Heads Remain in Light. I recently just did a Talking Heads tier list. For anyone who saw it, they know that I said this album's a 10 out of 10. I put it at the top of S tier. I consider it to be Talking Heads' best work. This album has some of like the best production on any album ever made, in my personal opinion. This is when they collaborated with Brian Eno, who is one of my favorite producers of all time, as well as a lot of other people. And song-wise, this thing is just absolutely stacked from front to back. Just so many iconic tunes from Born Under Punches, Cross-Eyed and Painless, The Great Curve, Once in a Lifetime. You've got, and then even the second half is great. Houses in Motion, The Overload, Listening Wind. There's just great song after great song. Again, really no complaints from me. I love it. It's by far my favorite Talking Heads album, and they're one of my favorite bands ever, so that truly says a lot. If you want a bit of a more in-depth look into this record, be sure to check out that tier list from me. Alright, next up we have Public Enemy's It Takes a Nation of Millions to Hold Us Back. This is one of my favorite hip-hop rap albums ever made. I love it so much. I just love how unique it is. I love just how great the songs are, how catchy so many of them are. You really just have some classic rap songs, such as, Bring the Noise and Don't Believe the Hype, Louder Than a Bomb. I mean, it's really just amazing from front to back. 16 tracks, it is an hour. It's a bit longer, but it's just so worth it. And then you've got Terminator X doing DJ, and he's just such a great DJ. Just really, like I said, amazing from front to back. One of the very first rap albums I ever heard, thanks to my dad. And I think it's great. I really, like I said, there's no complaints from me. Even some of the shorter ones, like Show 'Em What You Got, stuff like that. I love them. I love every song on here. I listen to them all the time. And it just really is a stellar hip-hop album. For anyone who loves hip-hop, especially old tunes, go for this. Next up, we're going to go over Metallica's Master of Puppets. So I'm a big Metallica fan. I've been a fan of their music for quite some time. I know a lot of people will be like, oh, Metallica, they're one of the most popular metal groups of all time, so they're overrated. Those people are full of shit. Metallica is excellent. They've made some amazing albums, such as Ride the Lightning and Master of Puppets and Kill 'Em All and Once and For All. Just so many great metal albums. They really are a master of the craft, and there's a reason why they're like the most popular metal band. And this is their most popular album, and this is to me like the definitive metal album. I do quite love metal. There's other bands such as like Iron Maiden that I do quite love, but to me, this is the definitive metal album. Only 8 tracks. It's a shorter track list, but each track is so elaborate. Each track is so just badass, so fun to listen to. James Hetfield's vocals are amazing on every single track, and the writing is just the best in Metallica's entire discography to me. I really can't say anything about it that hasn't been said, but you've got Battery, great opener. You've got the iconic title track, Master of Puppets, which just has such a badass guitar riff. The thing that not should be, or the thing that should not be, sorry, is excellent. You've got Disposable Heroes, which is one of my favorites. Orion, which is really awesome, and then Damage Incorporated, the closer. Just stellar metal, just a stellar metal album. Really, that's about as much as I can say. It is excellent front to back. It is, for anyone who's interested in getting into metal or already is into it and hasn't heard this, this is a must listen. I have it on vinyl. It's excellent, and I really just think it is a 10 out of 10, in all honesty. Alrighty, next up is going to be Paul's Boutique from the Beastie Boys, or just Beastie Boys, which are one of my favorite hip-hop groups of all time. They're up there for sure with another one of my favorites, Death Grips. I'd say that those two are like my favorites, I would say. Yeah, and Paul's Boutique is, in my opinion, the best work of the Beastie Boys. Whereas License to Ill at points is a little dated, Paul's Boutique sounds just as crisp as it did back in the 80s. It just, I think it was 1989, I believe. It sounds just excellent. And this has some of the most iconic samples in all of hip hop. It set the stage for what hip hop was to come. This is like the one, I would say that Master Puppets is like one of the most definitive metal albums. To me, this is like in the top 3 most definitive hip hop albums. This thing is just chock full of amazing production, probably the best production of like any rap album. That's a big, like, I know it's a heavy statement, but if it's not the most, it's like in the top 3. Just so many iconic tunes, from, Shake Your Rump and The Sound of Science, Hey Ladies, Looking Down the Barrel of a Gun, Car Thief, just so many classic Beastie Boys tunes. And I know that there's really not many on here that, like, an average, I don't want to be rude, but like an average Beastie Boy fan, like, people looking for No Sleep Till Brooklyn or Brass Monkey or So What You Want or Intergalactic. Like, there's not really anything on here that is well known as that. Or Sabotage, everyone loves Sabotage. Nothing to that extent, but the quality of these tracks is so high that even though there isn't a heavy hitter in that sense as like those songs, it's great from front to back. Really, again, no complaints from me. There's a reason it's on I believe all of these on here are, but there's a reason that this is on the 100 best albums from Apple Music. And it landed at a pretty good spot. I think it should have been higher. But yeah, just an excellent Beastie Boys album, and this is coming from a diehard Beastie Boys fan. Been listening to them for over a decade now. I love them, and this is my favorite work of theirs. Alright, next up is going to be Purple Rain from Prince, or Prince and the Revolution. I absolutely adore this album. This is in my top 10 albums of all time. I freaking love it. I love Prince. I love the movie. I love Prince's voice. I love his lyrics. I love his singing style. I love freaking everything about this record. So, even though all these are 10s, this is like, to me personally, an 11 out of 10. So there could be, the way I like to think about music is there are 10 out of 10s such as this, but then for me, an 11 out of 10 is not only a perfect album, but an album that means so much to me personally, and this is one of those examples. I listened to the heck out of this during some rough times, especially back in high school when I was having a falling out with some friends. This album it helped me get into such a damn good mood, and there really are just amazing songs on here. I Would Die For You, Computer Blue, freaking just so many good tracks, so many I love the whole thing from to back. It's only 8 tracks. You've also got Baby I'm a Star, which is, I love it. Just everything on here is so catchy. Let's Go Crazy, of course, which is one of Prince's best known songs. You've got Darling Nikki, which actually created the parental advisory label, which is freaking crazy to think about that was Prince that did that. But yeah, that was him. And then you've got When Doves Cry. Oh my god, just absolute jam. You've got The Beautiful Ones, very beautiful song. But then, all that doesn't even compare to the song Purple Rain, which is probably my favorite or second favorite closer on any album I've ever heard. I absolutely love it. I love it so goddamn much. It is such a beautiful song. It makes me cry every time I listen to it, no matter where I am or what I'm doing. I will always tear up as soon as that guitar, as soon as Prince starts shredding that guitar in the second half, tears will start coming from my eyes. It is so absolutely perfect. It is so beautiful. And it is truly like a perfect song in every sense of the word. And it's a perfect song from a perfect album, in my opinion, and it is one of the few 11 out of 10s for me, just based off of the criteria I said. But yeah, this is definitely in my top 5 albums of all time. It's, in my opinion, like the essential, I don't want to say like disco pop album. It is the essential. It is absolutely incredible, and I highly recommend it to anyone who has not heard it. Next up, we're going to do a bit of a, I'm going to kind of brief through this one, but this is a bit of a more recent one for me. I didn't hear this till about a year ago, but it is the Queen is Dead by the Smiths. This is, I would say that from start to finish, this is their strongest album, and it's definitely their funniest album as well. You just have 10 tracks, a bit shorter, but the tracks are so high quality, just so well sung, incredible production, incredible instrumentation. I love the cover, it's super cool, and just some really good tunes. That's really all I want to say. This is just a kind of a 10 out of 10 by default, just because of how great the songs are. Not really anything to me personally, but it has to be on here. It's The Queen is Dead. If you haven't heard it and you love anything involving rock and punk and any of that stuff, definitely give this one a listen. And then finally, I just wanted to go over NWA's Straight Outta Compton. Just really, again, another stellar rap album. It's really the extent. It's just one of, in my opinion, the best rap albums ever made. It's definitely a top 10, I would say. I know a lot of people might think it's aged poorly. I don't think so at all. I think that this thing has aged like a fine wine, with so many iconic songs such as the title track and Fuck the Police, Gangsta Gangsta, something like that, Express Yourself. Just great rap tune after great rap tune. Everyone sounds amazing. The production is stellar, and that's really all I want to say about it. Just another excellent rap album, one of the best ever made, and it is definitely a 10 to me. But yeah, that is going to be it for this edition of 10 out of 10s for the 80s. I know a lot of people might be disappointed to see less albums on here than the previous years, but that's not to say anything about the quality of music this decade, because just because there were only a couple 10s doesn't mean that there weren't a ton of 8s and 9s and just stellar albums. Just these are the ones that either to me personally or by default are 10s. But yeah, that's going to be the end of it for this video. Thank you all so much for watching. I will have my 90s 10 out of 10s out pretty soon, and that is going to have a lot of records. I think that's going to have the most so far. So stay tuned for that, and thank you all so much for watching.